So after Maggie said that she's interested in the role, and I invited Petra and Maggie out together and just spent an afternoon with them. Very, very simple. It wasn't like an audition or anything, but I invited them to have high tea.
Oh, love high tea. Those are always the best.
So I think everybody was very supportive. And to the extent that because the schedule was a little bit behind, everybody was willing to work on Christmas Day to shoot. I think that is something that I'm totally indebted to them because, people were working on Christmas Day. There was actually a shot of us with a monitor with this tiny Christmas tree next to it. Just to remind everybody that it was Christmas. Yeah. And then they went on and they start kissing. And then they kissed for a much longer time than it was required in the script. Because in the
Talking
script,
about chemistry,
Yes, I was thinking, well, two Asian women, they've been together for a long time, so maybe just a quiet little kiss. And then they just went at it.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Conversation with Start. I'm today's host, Jasmine. On today's show, our guests are a creative partner with wonderful synergy. Today, we're incredibly honored to have the film's director, Ray Young, and the producer, Stan Gingon, with us. Welcome, Ray and Stan. First of all, may I ask both of you to say hello to the listeners and the viewers of Start?
Hello, hi, I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, hello.
This is Ray.
Yeah, this is Stan. I'm glad to be here as well.
Thank you. Ray, both Suck Suck and All Shall Be Well focus on Hong Kong's Asian queer community. What drives you to tell those specific stories?
I think really, especially, cinema in general don't really represent elderly generation very well, or in fact, there's not a lot of representation at all. And in particular in LGBTQ cinema, there's hardly any movies that talk about them. And as we know, people are getting live longer and longer, really, and there's a lot of stories to be told. Especially, this is an interesting generation in the sense that it's really the first generation of people who reach in that age group who have lived a full gay lifestyle, actually, a lot of them, but yet they still meet a lot of challenges, and this is not really being reflected in cinema at all. So I think both of the movies, the scripts came from interviews with real people who had those experiences, and that's how the stories were inspired.
The concept of home is central to this film, both as a sanctuary and as a point of conflict. Why make home the core of the story?
I think really both films really explore what is the meaning of family in a modern context. I think particularly in All Shall Be Well is that when someone who has been living with you all their lives and very, very close to you, and when that pass away, and then suddenly that by law, the most close person to you is your blood relations, someone who is biologically related to you. So I just want to explore that. Is that still really, really relevant in the modern context, particularly in the LGBTQ community, when a lot of people who actually have been rejected by their family members, and then they have a chosen family, and how does that being featured if that person is no longer around? What is important and what is the meaning of family? So I think that is really the reason that I want to explore that. And of course, family and home are always related. It's where you live and your social backgrounds, and also reflect that. So therefore, the home and the family, that is something that's interlinked in both of my movies.
Yeah. On the topic of home and family, we actually received a question from a Boston audience. After he watched the film, he noticed that in the film there are many scenes set in a domestic space, so home, family. So we are seeing hallways, dining table, and so on. How did you use door frames or blocking or static shock to convey intimacy or a power?
I think it's, well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Ozu, and he uses a lot of door frames and hallways and that. So that is something that I really admire about how to use a domestic space, but using it in a way that we actually frame the people in the family. And you can use it in the sense that people can be put apart, like there's a partition, or you can frame them and put them enclosed together where you united them. So it's actually very interesting, even though in a domestic environment, how you can use framing and your camera angles in order to tell a story visually. So I think that's something that my cinematographer and I explore. And I think before, like in All Shall Be Well, before Pat passes away, we decided to have a lot of the scenes where the framing or the doorways or the hallways are in the background. So that in order to convey a sense of space, that there's an openness. But after she passed away, when we see Angie, she is very much being trapped. And there's a feeling of oppression and a claustrophobia. So we use the framing in order to put her in a visually like she's being trapped. Well, I think it's important in the sense that we are talking about a couple who have been together for a long time, decades. So how do you convey that intimacy? And unlike people who, or movies that show people who are first falling in love, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of physical contacts, there's a lot of romance. But for two people who have been together for a long time, the romance comes in a different way. It's that intimacy, it's the understanding of each other, is the comfort of sitting together, not having to say a word. But yet at the same time, they're communicating with small gestures and understanding of each other's habits during the day. Is that kind of a comfort and intimacy that I want to portray in order to reflect that this couple have been together for many years.
Let's talk about the genesis of the film. Ray, was there a specific real-life event or story that sparked the idea of the script? You mentioned you interviewed people. Was that the spark, the beginning of the script?
Yes, in 2020 in Hong Kong, I went to a talk about the Hong Kong LGBTQ inheritance rights. And during the talk, the speaker quoted a few cases very similar to the storyline of All Shall Be Well. So I asked him whether he could introduce me to those people, and he did, and I interviewed them. And through interviewing them and talking to them, I decided to write a story about the situation, but also in a different way from their stories, because in their stories, the situation, the family members were far more horrific, really, or cruel. And I didn't really want to do it that way. So I actually mellowed them out a little bit and sort of like redesigned the script in order to make it more relatable to the audience.
Yeah. That's good to hear that even you mellowed this a little bit. And my next question is to Stan. What were the biggest challenge in producing such film with a somewhat sensitive topic where combining love and law? And what was your first reaction after Ray pitched this idea to you?
Well, one of the biggest challenges we had for this movie was trying to secure funding. And, this is an LGBT narrative with older people. So a lot of the potential backers we approached didn't think it was commercial enough. It's too niche, and it was not commercially viable. So they kind of backed down. Another road we tried to get was to try to get funding from the Hong Kong Film Fund. Mm-hmm. We did apply for that before the movie started, but we didn't hear anything from them until after we finished filming. So I'm not sure what happened there. Of course, during that time was also the pandemic, so we experienced a lot of delays in our pre-production. So we also attended some film markets, and eventually the financing we got from private sources. Here you are. Here's the movie.
That's great.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to bring up was another challenge was the casting. We already had pegged Patra Au as the lead actress of Angie, but we had a hard time finding her partner Pat. Ray, I don't know if you want to get into that.
Well, yeah, we interview different actresses, and eventually we was very lucky to be able to find Maggie, because I've watched her in old TV dramas when I was researching, and I thought she would be perfect for the role. However, Maggie had retired for 30 years, so I actually had to contact her husband, who is still acting, and through him, I met up with her and basically pitched my idea to her. And I was very, very surprised after she read the script. She said, "Okay, I'll come out of retirement for you." So that was quite magical, I have to say.
I was wondering, what's the essential quality were you looking when you're casting for those lead roles? You mentioned you even reached out to her husband to get it. What was the sparkling part that attracts you?
I think the good thing about working with actors who are very experienced is that they already have a life experience, and then they also have done a lot of acting, so they really know how to do it. So whether they can act or not is not an issue. But the most important thing when I was casting is the chemistry between the two actors. So after Maggie said that she's interested in the role, and I invited Patra and Maggie out together and just spend an afternoon with them. Very, very simple. It wasn't like an audition or anything, but I invited them to have high tea.
Oh, love high tea. So, those are always the best.
Yes, high tea is always the best because everybody's relaxed, and, nothing can go wrong if you have a scone in front of you. So we were doing that and just having cakes and coffee. And I was just observing the chemistry that they have. And of course, because they are of similar age group, so they immediately were able to talk a lot about the old days, what things were different. Both of them have lived overseas before, so they also talk about their experiences of living overseas. And then then I sort of like observed the small gestures between them. And then I noticed that a lot of small things that happen, which was very close to what I was looking for in the two characters. So I think it was really the chemistry they had that convinced me. And once I was sure that they would get along and there was that warmth that they could build between them, then the rest of it was much easier, I think.
That's awesome. Love the high tea casting techniques. Maybe our listeners from now on, the young directors will adopt this approach from you. I'm curious, this is great that initially they have good chemistry. Initially they're all both very experienced. But how did you both, maybe Stan and Ray, work with the actress to build such a believable 30 years relationship on screen?
Well, right before we did filming, about maybe 2.5 weeks before filming, we got all the actors together, and we actually did a table read. Ray had created like backstories for each character about their history, where they were born, and how they grew up. So each of the actors had this history in their mind when they were acting. We also did a lot of prep work as far as improvisation. We paired the actors together and they just improv'd a situation and see how the chemistry works, and then adjustments were made during that time. So by the time we started filming, everybody was all set and there was no issue about what their characters are all about.
Yeah, I think, as a director, I'm not the kind of director who actually tells the actor on the set and say that, for this line you have to say it this way, or for this you need to have this reaction. I much rather prefer just to, do all that improvisation and the backstory work with them before the shoot. And then actually when we come to the location and shooting on the day, I really just, my main aim is to build a safe environment environment so that the actors will feel that they are comfortable in that situation and be able to have the freedom to explore and be themselves in that character. And I find that way of working is you get much more organic and natural outcome than actually instructing them to do it the way you had envisioned. Because like in real life, there's no one way to say something to somebody. What you say to someone can have a lot of different meanings. And even within that sentence, it could have conflicting emotions as well. And I think you want to capture that. And if you tell the actor that you need to be angry in this line, then the actor will only just deliver one emotion, which is not realistic.
Yeah, so I think I felt like the doing that. So the result during filming was like, it was pretty easy, I think. I mean, because they exactly knew what they were saying and what they were doing, what they were feeling, and I think it's a great approach for anybody who's trying to create a movie, get everybody together first.
Let's talk a little bit about the genesis of the title of this work, All Shall Be Well. It's very evocative. Could you both share a little bit story behind choosing this name?
All right, okay. So when I was doing a lot of interviews, I met with a lot of long-term lesbian couples, some gay as well. And I always ask them a question. It's like, okay, so because in Hong Kong, there's no same-sex marriage. Hong Kong do not recognize same-sex marriage. So couples who have been together for many years, they basically have no rights. So I said, so how are you going to protect your loved one, your partner, in the case that you're not around? And a lot of them gave me a very strange answer, I felt, is that they said, oh, well, I think I'm not going to be around. My sister would know what I wanted, or my brother would know what I would like to do. So I said, that is very odd. So you have a partner here with you for many, many years supporting you. But if you're not going to be around, your partner's future is going to be completely depending on what you think or what you guess your sister or your siblings would think. So don't you think that is too risky? So they gave me a bizarre answer. I felt they say, well, I guess it should be fine, all shall be well, like that. So I thought, oh, okay, all right, that is too optimistic. So therefore, I use it as a title for the movie, just ironically to tell them that no, things are not going to be well.
The Chinese is not the same.
Yes, it's not a direct translation. The Chinese is 从今以后 in Cantonese, basically translate as from here to eternity. So that is also an ironic title because in Hong Kong, if you are heterosexual, you get married and you have to say a marriage vow, which basically says that, from here on, from here to eternity, in sickness and in health, rich and poor, all that, all that. And if you say that kind of things in front of an official, you will get legal protection. Your vow is protected. There is a legal framework to protect you. However, if you are a LGBT couple, even though you want to say these things from here to eternity, you can swear in front of everybody. It has no meanings in Hong Kong because the legal system do not support it. So basically, it's meaningless. So therefore, I also use it ironically. Is for this couple in Hong Kong, they want to say from here to eternity, they want to be together and share their life, yet there is no legal framework to support them.
Born in irony and maybe a little bit of sadness of our current reality, I would like to share a little discussion and story among all the audience after they watched this film from Stars in the Spectrum of Love, a screening series. The audience are guessing maybe the word well in your mind is a point of emotional reconciliation, or maybe you are hoping institutional improvement, like the law should be well, and or just simple resilience to keep living. Have you thought about that aspect, or is this mostly just a simple irony?
I think for both, really. I think in the movie for Angie, at the end of the day, even though she has lost a lot of things through the journey in the movie, one thing that she does have, and I think in the end, is that her good memories of the life that she has spent with Pat. And I think no matter what happens outside, I think it's that love and that trust that is very important. And she was able to find that safe emotional place where she could still appreciate the life that they have spent together. I think for her, that is very important. And I think, of course, very, very much for the movie is about wanting to have the same rights, equality as heterosexual couples. I mean, LGBT couples do not want more rights. We just want equal rights. When two people are together, they just want to have the same kind of protection by the law of their relationship. And also one thing that is most important is the recognition of their relationship, because a lot of couples that I interview, for them, when their partner has passed away, they said it's not really about the money, it's not about the properties, it's about the relationship that I had with my partner that was recognized, that that family members could not just wipe it out as they like it never happened. It did happen, and we did spend a life together. The love was real, and I needed to have that being recognized. I think for them, that is the most important thing.
That's beautiful. Actually, in cinema, towards the scene, without spoil any of the dramatic twists, there are certain things that we can hear sobbing across the entire cinema. So, well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the navigation, emotion, families, and reality. Ray, Pat's family member aren't simply just bad guys. Why was it so important for you to show their complex and human side?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, when I interview some of those people who were involved in the cases, they told me the stories when the family members were very cruel to them. Like some of them, basically, one woman in her situation is that she went out, and when she came back home, she found that the front door was locked, and then the family members actually went in and changed the lock, and they threw her out. So I had stories like that, which I thought, wow, if I put that in a movie, it will become almost like a soap opera, because it would be so dramatic. And I think also immediately the audience will go, those are villains, those are bad people, and they will not be able to relate to these family members because they are just outright bad. So I think what is important is that I want to put the audience in the situations where they could relate to these family members. The family members, they needed this money. They also needed this property. Otherwise, they couldn't live a comfortable life, as comfortable as Angie and Pat. So therefore, put the audience in that situation where they could have a choice, and they would have to think about what is good for themselves and what is morally right. So I think that I need to make the family members very relatable to the audience. So therefore, they will say, okay, if I'm given this situation, what should I do? And I think in that way, then they can explore really how they view LGBT relationships, because it's very easy to say that, oh, yes, I support it. But when it comes to your own benefits, it's on the line. What would you choose? And I think that is something that I want to explore with the movie.
Yes, that's beautiful. When I was watching the movie, I feel like both sides of my brain was triggered. Sometimes I'm thinking about more rational, logical, what will I do? What the law should be doing? And sometimes I'm also tearing up because of the sadness of the situation. And I love the tension between the biological and choosing family. Stan, as a producer, you mentioned setting up a lot of a friendly dynamic through different activities. But on set, how did you or your maybe line producer foster an environment where actors can safely explore those painful dynamics?
On set, I already felt like they were all ready. Our line producer was the one that, if there was any issues, she would be the one to go and speak to the actors, and I really didn't see any issues while I was there. So I think doing the preparation before the filming really helped.
Yeah, I think we were very lucky that we also have a very supporting cast and crew because it's a very low budget production, and also at the end we didn't have any government funding for it. So I think they also knew that this is a story that is needed to be told. So I think everybody was very supportive, and to the extent that because the schedule was a little bit behind, everybody was willing to work on Christmas Day to shoot. I think that is something that I'm totally indebted to them because, people were working on Christmas Day. There was actually a shot of us with a monitor with this tiny Christmas tree next to it. Just to remind everybody that it was Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, but we were working in a columbarium on Christmas Day.
I know, on that day. Yeah.
To add one more thing to this question is the crew that we had is a lot of the crew was from our previous Suk. So
Twilight
all
Kiss,
of them in, so everybody was already familiar with each other and how they work. And actually, they work in other productions in Hong Kong. Like they see each other all the time, so they know how each other works. So I feel like having a crew like that, and the actors all prepared. It's just like all just gelled together.
Call time the next day was 6 a.m. So.
Oh no, we did bring some like teddy bear cakes with on that. So we had that afterwards.
Yeah, I'm sure the cake was wonderful. Let's talk about food. Food is a recurring motif in the film. What role does it play in the story's relationship?
Yes, well, Chinese and food, right? It's you have to feature that, right? It's so important. I think especially in Hong Kong, right? Everybody is working so long hours and very hard, and for families to get together really and the place is very small. Like say if you're in the States or whatever, you can go to the countryside and you can go for a picnic or something like that. But in Hong Kong, a lot of the times the social activities is orientated around the dinner table. So and really in the family dynamics, you can always tell what it is like in this family, who has the hierarchy, who's on the hierarchy, who has calling the shots, and then who is the favorite and who is not. So I think in the film I always use that kind of dinner politics, you can call it, where people sit together, and then you can really a great way to introduce the family dynamics to the audience. And of course, food also bring back memories, and we always talk about food and the smell and all that in order to create a sense of affection between characters as well. So when we were shooting the big dining scene, we don't. Well, we use props, but we don't really use food that is cold. What I make sure, and that's why my production designer, I love him dearly, and he's very, very kind and doesn't mind working with me on that, although sometimes he does complain, is that I actually make him cook while we are shooting, so that in order the smell of food lingers in the air, and particularly the smell of rice, because that is something very homely. I think most Chinese people can recognize that when you go home, like you live on your own for a long time, you go home and see your parents, when they cook dinner, it's the smell of rice that really bring you back to childhood. So I want to create that kind of smell in the room, so that everybody has a feeling that it was a festive situation, and there's the smell of food is lingering in the air.
I love that scene. I wish I'm on set for that scene and smell the wonderful rice smell. Bring me back home as well. This is from our audience. They are also curious if there is any scene in the film that was either very memorable or very challenging to get right.
Well, the most difficult scene is also one of my favorite scenes. Is the actually very last scene in the movie when Pat and Angie are together in sort of like a shelter space where it was raining outside, and because on that day they were supposed to be shooting a sunny day, and they were sitting by the reservoir and enjoying the good weather, but as it turned out, it was crazily raining that day, and also it was getting very dark. We were running a little bit late, and so we had to shoot it inside shelter space, and it was there that we only have 1 hour, the light is going out, and so we had to shoot it, and it was quite magical actually when we changed it to that environment, and with the rain outside and the sound of the rain, and it had a very cozy and intimate feelings. So and we only had a limited time because of the light, and the two actresses were able to deliver really, really well in the first take. So I thought, okay, I got it. And then I said, okay, let's do one more take for safety. And then they went on and they start kissing. And then they kissed for a much longer time than it was required in the script. Because in the
Talking
script,
about chemistry, yeah.
Yes, I was thinking, well, two Asian women, they've been together for a long time, so maybe just a quiet little kiss. And then they just went at it. So afterwards, I said, oh, wow, that was a good take. And then Maggie said that. She said, yes, because at that moment, I just felt that a little kiss is not enough. It needs to be a big kiss. Okay, well, let's keep that. Yeah.
Yeah, Angie's, I like Angie's tone that the emotion really passes through, delivered to our audience, the strength of that emotion. I also want to talk about Angie's grief. Her grief is also shown with great restraint. Why did you choose to deliver this in a quieter approach over a more dramatic one?
I think in reality, I think, of course there are people who would be like doing very dramatic crying, but it's a long, painful loss. And in Angie's case, of course, it was very painful that she lost a life partner, but she also lost a lot of things, of course, her home, but also she lost her status, her identity in the family. For a very long time, she thought that she was part of the family, and then she later on find out that she kind of expelled from it. And then later on, when she had to ask them whether she could stay, and she also lost her dignity as well. So I want to be step by step showing how she's been stripped with a lot of things in her life, and that kind of pain and that kind of complex emotion, you cannot use a big emotion to reflect it. It needs to be a long, painful, slow erosion, and I want to reflect it that way, in a subtle way.
Yeah, the ending also doesn't offer an easy resolution. What do you hope the audience think or feel as they leave the cinema?
I think a sense of unfairness, maybe a little bit angry, finding that the world is not fair, and there's a sense of discrimination. I think all that is important, that the audience leaving the cinema not feel completely satisfied that there was a happy ending and everything all wrapped up. Because if like that, then you think, oh, well, that was a nice movie, and then you just walk to have your dinner and then you forget about it. You should linger and make you think about it. Why was it like that? Why is our world like that? And if you feel unsatisfied or angry or any kind of inequality, and you would think about it and hopefully help to fight for a more fair and more equal society.
He speaks your mind for you. You guys are great partners. Now you have collaborated on 2 landmark films of Hong Kong's queer community in the cinema realm. Can you describe your creative partnership as a director and producer? Is it you guys just clicked it, or how does the work divide between you two?
Well, we work in a place of trust and respect. We worked with each other in 2 films. Actually, we also did one in America called Front Cover, when I was living there, and we worked on that. So I've known Ray for many, many years, and I know how he operates. He loves to tell stories with heart and honesty. And me as a producer, I feel like it should be my place to provide that space for him to let his vision, grow and thrive. So I think that even throughout the years, we have this a creative shorthand. Like we know what each other we know what we want to do, and we know exactly what to tell each other. So it kind of feels like family. So that's my take on that. Ray.
Yeah, before we actually embark on the project, I actually always have a lot of different ideas, and I will write like a brief treatment and things like that, and I will talk to. I have a team of people. Stan is one of them, and there's Michael Werner, Teresa, and Chowie. So basically a core team of people that I share my ideas with, and kicking the ideas around, and then they will give me their feedbacks. And sometimes we have to abandon some ideas because didn't seem to have legs or something, and then there are other times that they will honestly tell me, I think this is not working, or other times they say this can go far and we can explore it. So it's like a team effort that I keep on rewriting and bringing back to them, and then individually or sometimes all together, and we will have discussed about different ideas and different projects. So it's a very, very much a collaborative process.
But because of our collaborative process, we do come up with a story. Like, for example, one of the projects we worked on together, we initially thought was going to be a comedy, and at the end ended up being more dramatic. So, something like that. We realized at the end of researching and redoing the script, it worked better as a drama than a comedy. So yeah, that's it.
That's a fun story. Maybe I hope we have time to explore how you guys turned a comedy story into a drama. But let's circle back to this film. Let's talk about the cinematic vision and the social impact. The film premiered successfully in Berlin. What was your strategy for bringing this sort of distinctly Hong Kong story to a global audience?
Well, our strategy has always been to try to go for the big festivals first. And fortunately, we got into Berlin. We were in Berlin before for Suk Suk. And for this one, we thought it would be a perfect platform because the Berlin audience, the audience, they like nuanced films and international stories. And while we were there, we actually talked to a few of them afterwards, and they really related to the story. Just because it's a Hong Kong story, they said, no, we can see our own situation in that here in Germany, and they were able to relate to it. As a matter of fact, a lot of the questions were like, oh, who has done their will? Like nobody answers the will. So the next day they said, oh, they're going to make an appointment with a lawyer. Yeah. So after our experience in Berlin, of course, that opened up the gateway to all the film festivals in Europe, in America, Canada, everywhere else. And Ray and I and Chowie did travel to some of these cities, and we found the same reaction from the audiences. Even though this is a Hong Kong film, the language is different, the neighborhoods are different, the family dynamics are different. But when you look at it, it's basically a universal story, and that's what we had planned all along. We want to tell the story to the world, and see how everybody reacts.
Congratulations to you all delivering such a universal story that also brings a lot of impact. Speaking of impact, do you also hope this story sort of to shape how the law should, the legal realm should shake up in Hong Kong or like even in other countries?
Yeah, in Hong Kong it's an interesting situation actually. When the movie was coming out, it was around that time that an activist in Hong Kong took the Hong Kong government to court, and he actually won the case, and the verdict came out saying that in Hong Kong the government have to come up with a legal framework to address same-sex marriage. So in that sense, it's a great story, and at that time the movie came out. So it was a right timing, and we felt that we were able to help with the decision. So, however, the time has sort of like gone by, and at the moment the government only recently came up with a legal framework addressing same-sex marriage. However, it's nothing like what we expected. The thing that they put forward is that there's still no same-sex marriage in Hong Kong, but only for couples who are married overseas are able to register in Hong Kong saying that they are same-sex couple, and they will enjoy very, very limited rights. So this is not about certainly not addressing equality, and even that is not passed yet. It's still going through a lot of debates. So we hope that this movie is able to change people's mind. So we are sort of like promoting it and helping people to see that it's not really just about rights. It's also, and not just about LGBTQ community. It's also about everybody. Everybody surrounding it are also affected. So it is a story, also is a human story, and hopefully people can watch the movie and come to terms and that we don't want more rights, we just want equal rights.
This is a very powerful statement. We don't want more rights, we just want equal rights. What is the current environment like for independent filmmakers in Hong Kong?
Well, Hong Kong is going through a very difficult stage. A lot of cinemas have closed in the last year and a half. And I think a lot of the big companies are not putting money into making movies now. I mean, after COVID, people's watching movies habit have changed. And also with the streaming platform being so powerful now, people tend not to go into the cinema. So what you do have is what is left actually are the people who are really, really into movies, really passionate about cinemas. Those are the die-hard ones who will make movies no matter what, no matter how little money, no matter how little resources. So actually, in that sense, recently there's been some very interesting movies coming out center around topics that is very relatable to the Hong Kong community. Issues about old aging, issues about the cruel treatments in senior homes, or bullying in school. So those are topics that actually were very rarely approached in the last 2 decades. If people remember, Hong Kong cinemas are famous for martial arts movies and gangster movies. Mm-hmm. And because those are all very commercially related about box office, and because because the Hong Kong audience are not watching those movies anymore and they are not being made anymore. So what is left is these smaller productions, independent productions, but actually with more relatable and, to me, more interesting storylines.
Yeah, we observed this as well. Star also participated in this year's New York Asian Film Festival. I know you guys are selected for 2024 as well for All Shall Be Well. And we watched a lot of Hong Kong movie, and they all mostly addressing social issues for what we observe in Hong Kong. And I think that is great. Besides Star's mission of bringing more great independent Asian films from overseas to North America, we also have a short film production program to help emerging directors. And I would love to ask, what was the biggest lesson you have learned in moving from short films to features, and what advice do you have for the new directors?
For me, I feel that a lot of the times short filmmakers, because a lot of them really just want to make features, making shorts as a stepping stone. And they try to make a features, but within 20 minutes. And I always find that is an issue because a short film is short, and you really only have time to tell one thing properly, and address that properly. So I think it's important to capture that one moment and talk about that one particular topic, and not try to make it as though a feature and put too many ideas into it and too many topics and cram it, and not giving it the space and time to breathe. So I would say that if you're going to make a short film, just make sure that it is simple and effective, and tell that one thing well, instead of trying to do 3 or 4 things in that one short film.
That's great insight. Thank you for sharing that with our filmmakers. Maybe hopefully in the future we can bring both of you back and then have a masterclass to all the emerging directors. Let's shift to reflections and looking forward to the future. To you both, has making of the last 2 films, Suck Suck and All Shall Be Well, changed your own perspective on love, commitment, or just the meaning of home?
Well, for me, certainly, I think, first of all, I have to admit that, before I make Suck Suck Twilight's Kids, you kind of know that, there's an older generation of LGBTQ communities, but you actually do not really explore very much about their lives. And then after having met them and interviewed them, and same with All Shall Be Well as well, you then realize that, this generation of people, they really go through a lot, from being not accepted, particularly in Hong Kong when they were younger. Being gay was a criminal offense, and you could be arrested. You can be put into prisons, and also for women particularly, like when I was researching for All Shall Be Well, is that if you were like in the 70s or 80s, if you're a woman who are at 30 years old and not married, basically you are shunned by the society. Basically, the society will, give you all these horrific names, and you are almost like a black sheep of the family. So for a lot of lesbians, they don't even have to live with another woman. Simply by not marrying to a man, they're already being discriminated in the society. So you start exploring these things, you start learning these things. So what you actually didn't realize is that, oh my God, in our society, we actually have a lot of this kind of discriminations going on. And how the society hopefully has moved positively. But you still need to reflect on that, and how that kind of experiences has affected these people. And even to these days, how they live their life is different. It's much easier for us younger ones to say that, gay rights, and we come out, we have to be yourself. But actually, if you live through a life of that experience, it's much, much harder for them to actually be proud of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For me, working with these last 2 films, it did change my perspective as far as the meaning of family. Before Suck Suck and All Shall Be Well, you really have no idea what the stories of these older people are. I personally didn't know anything about it because you're just living your life. So then we dug very deeply into these characters in Suck Suck and All Shall Be Well, and really it defined a new meaning of family for me, and or chosen family even. And so now I look things in a different way. Now I'm trying to see if there are other stories, that are in there that we just don't know about yet, and maybe that's something we want to do in the future.
Yeah. And speaking of the future, finally, can you both share anything you guys are working on next?
This is what we are working on right now.
Oh.
This is the Hong Kong Lesbian Gay Film Festival. So the festival is coming out on the 12th of September. So the last 6 months is what we've been doing, basically curating and putting the festival together. So that is something that we're working on intensely right now. The festival is actually the longest running lesbian gay film festival in Asia. It started in 1989 by a guy called Edward Lam. And then at 2000, I took over, and I have been running the festival since. So we have no government funding. All the there's an NGO, all the it's running on volunteers, basically, a bunch of volunteers, and the box office incomes and sponsorship. So it's a very intense 6 months. The last 6 months is trying to find sponsors, which is very difficult right now in Hong Kong because of the economy, and put the movies, curate the movies together to put this festival up.
Yeah, so our opening film is actually from Australia. It's called Jimpa, and it stars Olivia Colman and John Lithgow, Oscar winners, and this new actress, which is actually the daughter of the director of the movie. The tickets went on sale this week for the film festival, and already it's sold out.
Yeah, we have a combination of international films and Asian-focused movies as well, and also short films too.
Congratulations, and thank you both so much for sharing such a sincere and profound insight with us today. Through this conversation, we have not only gained a deeper understanding of the weight behind the film All Shall Be Well, but also felt once again the immense power of cinema as a medium to engage with society and foster empathy. At the end of the show, a reminder to everyone, the Start in the Spectrum of Love screening series is currently running across North America. The lineup includes the film we discussed today, All Shall Be Well, as well as many other wonderful films like Lan Yu and Happy Together. We welcome you to follow Start on social media for the latest news. Once again, thank you, Ray and Stan, for being here, and thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.